Delighted to say that joining us on the We Are West Ham podcast is Horia and Filip from the Romanian Football Platform. Absolutely brilliant stuff to have you guys with us. Always exciting on the We Are West Ham podcast ahead of these European games to speak to new fans from across the continent. Our first Romanian guests ever on the podcast or the radio show, which is absolutely brilliant. Guys, thanks for joining us. That game on Thursday, FCSB, as West Ham fans will have seen it flash up against West Ham at the London Stadium, the first group stage game of the Europa Conference League. Horia, I'll start with you. First of all, when the draw was made, FCSB came out. I think most West Ham fans frowned and were a bit confused. After a bit more digging, it's obvious or became apparent that it's actually Steaua Bucharest. So first of all, tell us what happened with the name recently. Everyone in England knows Steaua Bucharest. Hardly anyone knows FCSB. So just talk us through that quickly first.
Basically, it all started at the end of the communist regime when all of the teams in our league couldn't be financed by the government anymore, and Steaua Bucharest was obviously financed by the army, and it got eventually bought by some owners, and in around the 2000s it ended up being bought by Gigi Becali, and there was some controversy regarding the sale of the club at the time, but things went on, and Steaua still existed, kept on going. With that name, and it did well in Europe, reaching that European semi-final in 2006 against Middlesbrough.
Yeah.
But then an issue appeared back in 2013 or 14 when a court ruled that the club was unable to use the name Steaua Bucharest, so it became FCSB, as you said. So that's where the standpoint lies. Basically, the Army has got their own team now. They're in the second league with the name Steaua, but from a sporting point of view, FCSB is the same team that won the Champions League back in 1986, the European Cup, and played that European semi-finals in 2006. So basically, that's that. Just to give you a basic rundown.
Yeah, that helps. So, sort of from a fan's point of view, then, is that has that sort of name change or whatever? Sounds like more of a legal, technical thing rather than anything else. For what sort of do the fans still stick by that? Has it changed how the fans refer to the team or anything like that? You mentioned the new team, Steaua, there in the second division, but from a fan's perspective, is it still Steaua Bucharest in your eyes?
I do not support Steaua, first of all, but I think that when you look at the facts, I mean, the team played in 2012 with the name Steaua, and then from 2013 it wasn't named Steaua anymore, so that's a bit confusing. So from this point of view, it is Steaua in my eyes. The change of name also kind of like made people despise the current owner, and it kind of like made them revolt. So obviously that really split the fan base in two. So the ones that kept supporting the traditional club and the ones that started supporting the Army, since they weren't completely on the same page with the owner. So that happened really, and that name change just gave them an opportunity to say that they're unhappy with the owner and that they were leaving.
Sure. Well, Filip, you can answer me this one then. Just an interesting thing I saw online last week. You mentioned the owner there, Horia, and forgive me, I think I'm getting the name right. Gigi Becali, the FCSB owner. Apparently, after a recent defeat at the weekend, I think, to top of the league Farrell. Wednesday it was. after against top of the league Farrell 3-1 defeat away. The owner Gigi Bakali decided that the manager Nikolai Dika will go back to a 4-3-3 formation for the match against West Ham in the Conference League this week. I saw that on Twitter. Is that fairly normal, Philip, then, to see the owner sort of meddling, if you like, or getting involved in tactical and footballing decisions as well as just ownership stuff?
For Gigi, yes. For the league as a whole, not really. No. He's just unique. Honestly, he's kind of a madman, to be honest. He's done some good, done a lot of insane things, and he's kind of hurt the team over the years, if you ask me, because of his instability. You know, he gets involved in things he shouldn't. He says things that he shouldn't to the media that puts pressure on the players, and the way he manages the team overall, I'd say, is not good for the team. But there's some good things he does as well. So overall, I'd say the inconsistency of the team is down to his management and getting involved in things, as you've said.
Yeah. So this sort of just obviously a bit strange to hear of owners dictating which formation the managers and the team play. But first of all, like Philip, the reaction to the draw then among FCSB fans when the draw was made for the group stages. Obviously, West Ham. I'm gonna, if it's all right. I'd say it's West Ham, FCSB, and then Silkeborg. In the group, it was an Anderlecht, of course. From West Ham point of view, it seemed fairly winnable. But what was the reaction to the draw among FCSB fans?
I'd say most of them were pretty not happy with it because it's an extremely difficult draw for the team. But a lot of them are also very optimistic. So it's kind of a split view, I'd say. Like, a lot of them are still hoping the team will, provide some results, and others are totally have no hope. So a bit of both, I'd say.
All right. And what's the sort of stance or the view on West Ham being in that group? What's the view? Is that West Ham are the strongest side in the group or will provide the biggest challenge, or what's the attitude towards that?
Definitely. I think everyone knows how great West Ham fans are. Absolutely top fans. And we've seen how much they've invested more and more every year now. So I think every fan that I've spoken to and every fan I've seen in the comments as well is definitely most afraid of West Ham. So.
Yeah, fair enough. So Horia, I did obviously we've mentioned the stuff about the sort of brief history and the formation change and all that sort of stuff. Struggling in the league at the moment, FCSB 13th out of 16 teams after just 7 games played. Quite some way, 7 points. That's 11 points off the leaders. Farrell, like I mentioned just then, what's going on domestically? What's the current form like for FCSB going into this game on Thursday?
Well, as you pointed out, it's not great. FCSB is quite renowned in our country for having poor starts of the season.
Right.
It also happened, I think, 3 years ago. They were sitting rock bottom of the league in around the same stage of the season, actually. But then they came back. They had like a 13 unbeaten streak. So it's normal, and it's even more so now because they have Europe and they had the conference qualifiers to focus on, and that kind of let them exposed in the league. It's quite a debate here about their form and their fortunes, but I think they're gonna change. I think that they've got the best out of themselves in Europe, and I think they can cause some problems if they're on top of their game, and I think they will be close to that when they play West Ham. I think they'll be back in the league. The differences are still obviously quite close, and the league, as you said, the league leaders, Farrell. They're one of those teams that kind of start well the season, but then fade out of the picture, slowly going into the season. But I think they'll be fine this year. I even made a predictions list at the start of the season. I even tipped FCSB to win the league, so I still stand by that.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. So it's not necessarily a disaster. They beat Norwegian side Viking 4-3 on aggregate in the Conference League playoffs to reach it. Is it fair to say then, Horia, that the main target or the main priority for FCSB this season it will be focusing on reaching the knockout stage of the Conference League, or is domestic form more important to the club and the owner?
I mean, judging by the start of the season, it's easier to say that the conference is the main opportunity. The owner is very revenue focused, and he mentioned the importance of the competition a day or two ago, because he said that he's gonna get a lot of money from tickets and from obviously results and the games and wins. So he might look at that and think that's a very good opportunity to get some money out of the club, and that's why he invested a lot this summer. Like in the last few years, he kind of the investments kind of dried up, but this summer he really went big. So I think he's gonna try and do well in Europe and then focus on the league after the groups have finished. And they have that month break in November due to the World Cup, so there'll be plenty of time to assess options and see where they are at and what they should do further.
Yeah, fair enough, mate. Fair enough. Filip, so obviously we've touched on the form there, and looks like all is not quite as disastrous as the domestic league table might suggest for FCSB. Going into that game on Thursday, then I mentioned the formation change that's required or requested by the owner last week. What sort of system can West Ham fans expect FCSB to play at the London Stadium?
Honestly, I'm not. I'm never sure with Gigi because he's so unpredictable.
I love that it's his decision though, rather than the manager's.
Yeah, that's the thing. So it changes. It can change on a whim, right? So, but I think you could see probably a 4-4-3-3, quite likely. Olaru is probably the star man in the middle, I'd say.
Who's that? What's his name? Sorry.
Darius Olaru.
All right.
I think he was actually a while back. I mean, that might have just been nonsense, but he is very talented. Yeah.
Yeah, it's sorry, yeah, go on.
Yeah, I'd say look out for Darius Olaru and possibly Florinel Coman on the wing.
Yeah. Horia, with the sort of the approach FCSB are likely to take, that 4-3-3 coming up against West Ham's probably slightly more attacking version of a 4-2-3-1. What sort of style of play can fans expect? How will FCSB approach the first leg, do you think, at London Stadium?
Yeah, I generally see them, at least in the early stages of the game, I think they're gonna try and cause some problems. FCSB have a really young team, very exciting. It's full of attacking prospects, I'd say. I actually see them start with a 4-2-3-1 because I think they're gonna go a bit safer against West Ham, obviously because they don't want to get too exposed. So I see them starting with maybe two defensive midfielders, but I think that the wingers and the number 10 behind the striker, I think they're gonna try some stuff before, at the start of the game, and then maybe tail off going into the game. But I think they're gonna start brightly, so that's what West Ham I think should expect, and they're gonna sit deep and maybe hit on the counter because they can do that. They have the players to do that, so I think that's what West Ham should expect in my eyes.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant stuff. I think just obviously we'll go into it in a bit more detail ahead of the away leg as well. But for any West Ham fans listening who are going over to Bucharest for the second leg. What can I expect, Horia, from the home stadium and the city as a whole?
The stadium is gonna be full, obviously.
Right.
The atmosphere
What's
is
the
gonna
capacity?
be the capacity around
Yeah.
like 60,000, I think it is, around that. It's a bit smaller than the Olympic Stadium, but it's not. It's okay. It's close to that. It's close.
60,000.
Yeah,
Oh, really? And it'll be full up.
yeah.
Amazing stuff.
It's
Blimey.
a European game, so we Romanians always turn up for those.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And what about the city? The city as a whole, and so the FCSB fans. What are they like?
FCSB fans are okay. They're a nice bunch. They support the team. Obviously, it's a big night for them as well. Since they haven't been to Europe in a couple of years now, so they're obviously looking forward to that. As we've seen against Viking and the other teams they played, Saburtalo and the team from I think it was Latvia as the other one, and they showed up massively. I don't think they're gonna have a stadium ban against West Ham. So really looking forward to seeing the whole stadium play. And about the city, West Ham fans should expect a lot of low prices for alcohol and all that stuff. And there's stuff to visit, there's stuff to see. Like I think you're gonna like it there. Actually, I mean, I'm really curious to see some reviews after the Englishmen come to Bucharest.
Yeah. So you mentioned just a couple of things then before I let you go, gent. So I'll get some score predictions off you first, but after all this. But you mentioned a stadium ban there. What where's that come from? What's that about?
I'm not very proud to say this, but UEFA banned like a section of the stadium for showing a Nazi symbol.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Was it a European game? Was it or?
Yeah, it was a European game.
Cross. It was the Celtic cross, and it was interpreted that way. But there's some bad apples that just.
Right. Yeah. I see what you mean. Yeah. So that was a European game, and just what this Thursday then at London Stadium? How well do the FCSB fans travel? Will there'll be approximately a 3,000 allocation of away fans? Do FCSB fans travel well? Are they likely to fill that up? There's obviously a large Romanian population in London as well, which I assume there'll be some fans for that. How many fans and what sort of attitude and atmosphere can West Ham fans expect from the away fans on Thursday?
I think I can let Filip talk that one. I think he might know a little bit more than me.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I think the away fans will provide a decent atmosphere, but I don't think they'll match, to be honest, the West Ham fans, especially away from home. But I think they'll provide a decent atmosphere. Yeah. I don't think they'll cause any. But
no. Is it likely that is 3,000 too many? Because we've had sort of various amounts of away fans during our Europa League campaign last year. Certainly in the group stages, there were far less than the full allocation.
I think given the destination, I think it's very likely to be around that much. The max capacity away fans.
Fair
because enough. So many in London, as you said, so that will also boost the numbers.
Yeah, of course. Fair enough, gents. Well, look, Horia Filip from the Romanian Football Podcast, or the Romanian Football Platform, sorry, really appreciate you having on the show. Looking forward to the game Thursday night. Just before I let you go then, Filip, I'll start with you, please. I want a score prediction for the first leg. Sorry, Filip.
I'm going to say 3-1 to West Ham.
3-1 to West Ham. That's the sort of thing I like to hear. And Horia?
In every duo there needs to be a good cop and a bad cop. So Philip went for the West Ham win, but I think I'm gonna go for a 1-1 draw just because we need a surprise. We need someone to lift up the spirits. I'm not saying that West Ham are necessarily gonna draw this game, but I'll go with 1-1 just for
Go with 1-1
expectations.
just for prosperity. Yeah, fair enough. Well, look, Horia Filip from the Romanian Football Platform, really appreciate you giving us your time, coming on to the We Are West Ham podcast for the first time ahead of that really exciting game Thursday night, London Stadium, West Ham at home to FCSB in the first game of the Conference League group stages. Thanks very much for joining us.